So why are we at our worst during the holidays? I want to talk a little bit about the holiday hysteria and how we easily get hijacked. I'm Dr. Rowan Nadler, licensed psychologist, master certified coach. And I've been studying and working with emotional intelligence now for 15 years. And so why does our worst self show up during the holidays? Well, I want to give you 4 reasons that we get dire results, and then 4 actions that you can move forward. This is a gift for you because I know this is a very stressful time for most of us. So let's first start with what goes wrong. Well, if you're like me, I have 2 kids and have family, older kids now in college who are home. Kids complain, they whine, they don't want to attend special dinners that you have. A relative unintentionally insults your favorite picture on the wall. Siblings, if you have siblings over with you, they give you advice, you don't want advice. You argue with your spouse about insignificant things, the wine, getting things ready. The gift that you spent hours shopping for is obviously not the right one. Those are all the things, emotions get more intense during this time. And so we have dire results, D-I-R-E. So I'm going to go through the reason that we could get hijacked. Then I'll explain what hijack is. So the D is for decision fatigue. When I work with executives, typically doing executive coaching, leadership training, decision fatigue comes up a fair amount. During the holidays, think about the decision fatigue. So you shop, you look for the perfect gift. Everything is full of decisions. Is there going to be a lot of traffic? What's the quickest way to get there? Where should I park? Is this the right gift? How much should I spend? What they spend on me last year? What's their return policy? How long? All these things drain your cognitive budget. So I like to talk about that, the fuel that you have. That's what decision fatigue is. It drains you. And then if you're drained, you're most likely to operate under your impulses. And decision fatigue is why people get angry at colleagues, your families, splurge on clothes. You may buy things impulsively because you don't have the cognitive budget anymore. So that's the D, decision fatigue. The I, inflated expectations. Think about all that we took and expect about the holidays. We go in with unrealistic expectations that are often really inflated. We want that special gift that we pick out for someone to just show how much we love them, and we may not have been the best during the years. We may have ignored them, make up for our mistakes. And so we have this idea that we have picked just the best gift, and for them to say, well, how did you know me? You really have seen me. Well, they may pick up the gift and go, oh, thanks, and not really put that much into it. We expect our families to be loving, supportive, appreciative. We have all these expectations that often is not the case in reality. So that's inflated expectations. The R is we're reactive and regress. So what does that mean? With these internal expectations, you have these internal expectations, external reality. When I work with corporate groups, we talk about when you have internal expectations in here, external reality is not the same. Stress is unmet expectations. Dr. Rudy Tanzi tells us. So internal expectations, external reality. What happens, you get an error message in the brain. And that's part of the amygdala that can easily get kind of hijacked. And hijacked means it takes over the rest of your brain. You're actually operating with less IQ points temporarily. So you get hijacked, and it's almost like right here, this prefrontal cortex, a sign is hanging there saying out for lunch. So you're just not your best self. You're operating with less IQ points. And you may be more reactive. Some of the family roles come up. As soon as you go home, I know for me, anytime that I would go home to my parents' house, all of a sudden I'd feel younger. All these roles that came up would be at the table. So you're not there with your adult self, but you're there with your child self also. And that's the regress roles. Think about for you, are you the family hero in your family of origin? The scapegoat, the clown, the lost child, the agitator, the angel, the know-it-all, the rescuer. We regress into these older primitive roles and therefore are not operating our best. So that's the R. And then the E for dire, and we get these dire results, is the emotional hurts or we get re-injured. So the last culprit presents itself in these emotional hurts. This occurs not only from the present disappointments of having the internal external reality be different, but old hurts and old wounds, they kind of ooze open. It's like knocking off a scab that we thought was healed. When these old emotional hurts come up, it's pain. It's actually pain in the brain. It takes a lot of cognitive fuel to deal with that. Kind of again burns our willpower. And then again, we're operating with less IQ points. When you have emotional pain, it takes a lot of cognitive energy, cognitive budget. We replay these old hurts over and over. And so that's why it's easy to feel upset that people weren't listening to you or whatever your role in the family comes back. So those are the 4 key reasons that you get dire results: decision fatigue, inflated expectations, reactive regress roles, and emotional hurts. So what can you do? I don't want to leave you just with that. What can you do instead? So what are the holiday actions to get real and to have a better chance of having the expectations that you want? So just like we dealt with dire, now we're going to deal with real, R-E-A-L. So first is have realistic expectations. Most of us are on autopilot. And so one way to get realistic expectations, what if you were to have a goal for each one of the family members you were with, that you wanted to make sure that you at least got this one goal focused on and delivered. So what do you want to say to your siblings? What do you want to say to your parents? What do you want to say to your kids? So that you feel like you've accomplished that. For me, it may have been with my father, telling him what a great role model he's been, with my wife, really about her strength, determination, her keen focus, and ability to be in tune with her feelings. For my brother, it's his compassion, his empathy, his playfulness. So these are just examples. Can you pick out that one thing so that you really make sure that your expectations are accomplished? With my kids, maybe how proud I am of them and their passion and the great relationships they have. And so that at some point during the craziness and chaos, that I make sure that I did something significant, kind of a little bit deeper in the relationship. And then the E for real is experience a moment, enhance your focus and empathy. So a couple of E's: experience, enhance, and empathy. Can you really stay present? A lot of things around mindfulness, being in the moment, stay present, and celebrate what the wins that people have. Often we don't listen well. And so when someone's telling you about someone, they're excited. Can you match their excitement? Ask them questions. How do you do that? Why did they pick you? Tell me more about that. We're going to go with that. This idea of celebrating their wins, we don't do. With executives, I often say around listening, no one knows you see their perspective until you say it. So you have to repeat back and that you really heard them, but then pull out some of the strengths that you may hear from them. And this really helps before you're going to go to maybe a family dinner. Think ahead of time, how do you want to be? Can you prime yourself for how you want to be your best self to show up? And the A for real is to accept and let go. It's not going to work out the way you want. You may not get everything you want, but can you accept what people are saying? Can you accept the situation and not judge? We are all so quick to judge, and that often gets us in trouble. So a couple things are, can you suspend your judgment and ask a few better questions? We're all going to have that first reaction. I can't believe they said that. What's going on with them? Or why did they do that? Take a deep breath, like I'm doing now, and then say, well, am I really sure what their intention was? Could I be wrong in my interpretation? What else could be going on for them? Is my reaction to them getting in the way of inquiring more information? So this idea of just to get yourself ready, can you accept it, what's going on and kind of move and adjust quicker? the whole thing about emotional intelligence is awareness adjustment. So a lot of these things I'm talking to you about is you being more aware of yourself, being aware of the interactions, making the appropriate constructive adjustment. And the L for real is, can you love and learn? And can you ahead of time think about the compassion and conscious, be encourage yourself, coach yourself to be generous with the people that you want to be with. Don't be an automatic, but ahead of time, can you be generous, compassionate? And research tells us that when in hospitals, patients feel that they're treated with kindness, it affects them physically. Their wounds heal faster, there's less pain, they reduce anxiety, reduce blood pressure, shorter hospital stays. So just you acting with kindness, and you may have to force yourself, encourage yourself, coach yourself. And also around kindness, what we experience, and this is perfect for the holidays, is that people who experience kindness and who are happier, their income goes up, there's less stress, illness. People with positive emotions supposedly live 7 years longer. So these are all things that you can do to make sure that you have a great holiday, and be aware of just how you are with your loved ones. Take a couple moments ahead of time to really say, okay, what's a risk? How can I tell them something important? And really to savor those opportunities. So that's the gift for you. If you're in an organization and you want to think about some holiday gifts, I want to tell you a little bit about just some tools I have that you can get now for about 1/3 off the price, just as a special gift. And one is my Leadership Keys package. And these Leadership Keys are tools that you can use and you may want to give to your team around coaching, delegation, feedback. What are the specific tools that you do every day as a leader? And I think to use your emotional intelligence, I was talking about how do you do that for your personal development, or this would be more for leadership development, and that you can give us these Leadership Keys to your team. You have a guide that explains it, and you also have 2 webinars that help explain it. So this could be a good holiday gift to pass on your sense of generosity, but also helping people be a little bit more emotionally intelligent. So that's that. Thank you so much. Hope you have a great holiday, and the best to you, that you can have a happy holiday and not get hijacked. Thank you.